is this not popping up? Okay, there we go. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that. I appreciate. Thank you for saying something. My microphone was not hooked up, which is fun. Can you guys hear me now? Hopefully so. According to my OBS, my sound is working now, so I should have checked that. Let me work back on getting on some music right before this. Okay, good. But no, what I was saying before is I was expecting this to be like yesterday, where we had to wait like 6-7 hours before them teasing it out and us actually getting the actual announcement. But thankfully they actually were pretty on time this time. And but on that subject, are you guys excited about the Dead by Daylight crossover that was announced yesterday? I've never played Dead by Daylight, so I have no actual reference for what the game is. I know it's survival horror, and I know it's a really big game that people have been really wanting FNAF to partner with for a long time, so I know this was really exciting for the fan base, for everybody. Even I was excited, even though I've never played it before. Here, let me go ahead and pull this up here. Just gonna see if we could pull up, let me see if I can do it here. I realize that my streams are a bit quiet because I don't have any music. Oh, hold on, I don't want that. Hold up. Oh, I should try it. I might do that on stream at some point. Because it seems like a really fun game. And I enjoy survival horror as much as I am probably really bad at it. But I've really enjoyed the genre, so I think I probably would like it. Okay, I think I'm about to go ahead and just pull this up. Not waste any more time, because I want to get talking about this, because based on what I've heard, based on the information that I have, based on everything I've seen about this trailer, it's insane and has a lot of lore implications that I think are really exciting to talk about. I know it has something to do with the Mimic, so I'm very excited. I don't know how else to articulate that, except I am very excited. All right. Here, I'm going to pull this up. We're going to watch the trailer together, guys. All right. Hopefully audio is good. We're going to go ahead and turn this over. Okay. Make sure. Okay. All right. So here we are. We are about to check out this trailer. All right. You guys ready? This is the Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic teaser debut. All right, let's just be quiet and watch this. Here, 1 second. Let me make sure. Can you guys hear that? All right. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that all of my audio settings were good, because earlier completely messed up. All right.
guys.
Hold up. No, go away. Let me go back to the other thing. We gotta watch that again. Hold up. I need to watch that again. All right, we gotta watch that again. Wait, what? What? 1979? Excuse me? Excuse me? Huh? Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know how else to react to this. I honestly don't. This is insane. Like, this is a great trailer. Like, this is a great teaser. This is fantastic. What the heck? Hold up. What are you? It's the puppet. What? Okay. Okay, guys. Well, you have 19. Yeah, that is crazy. I will say, guys. Ooh, this is really looking. This is big evidence towards books being canon. I know, but like that does exactly line up with that timeline we were given in Tales of the Pizzaplex with the Mimic story, with Edwin implying that he built the Mimic in the late 70s, around this time. That would be 1979. So this makes perfect sense, and also it matches with everything they've been teasing out, right? So you have Nightmare On, which has been everywhere, right? That is crazy. So I saw this. Let's see what the description is. So, to see the future, sometimes you need to understand the past. A brand new original nightmare in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. They called it a nightmare. Interesting. That is very, very interesting. What are your guys' thoughts about this? I don't know what you guys think about this, but this is crazy. Like, this trailer goes hard, man. Like, this is I just want to keep watching this because this is just like, it's so interesting. So you have a music box, right? And it's playing My Grandfather's Clock, which is the song, the very famous song from like I think it's like 1890 something. But it's the My Grandfather song. It's the song of the puppet, right? And here you have a music box, the new animatronic but old. Yeah, that is interesting too. I did notice that. So it's from 1979, but it does look a little bit old. Like even this, like even looking at the suit. And the fact that this is an old mechanical wind up music box. Like, that's very interesting. Just the aesthetic of it looks very old, like almost Victorian. It almost doesn't match really anything that we have established. Like, this isn't Freddy's, because Freddy's didn't open till 18 we're going full meme with that one. 1983. So, we know that Freddy's, like, they have pinned that down. They want that confirmed. that Freddy's was established in 1983. So whatever we're looking at, yeah, the music box, like the puppet, and it looks like the puppet. That's the thing, is like the design of it is very reminiscent of the puppet. Like looking at this, the design, you know what it almost looks like? It almost looks like Innard a bit, like Innard's mask, with it being like a clown almost. So it looks like almost like a circus animatronic, which I think is definitely what they're going for. Hello, I am doing well. We are just reacting to the new announced trailer for the new Steel Wool game coming out, which looks absolutely fantastic. I am so pumped about this. I don't even have words. Familiar to sun and moon, and that's an interesting thing too, right? Something that's interestingly mentioned in the books about sun and moon is that it's said that they are old salvaged animatronics, or like reused. Is the new part of the FNAF game? This is the new part of the... yes, this is. And according to Scott, it's not the last thing that Stillwell is announcing. Apparently, later, I think either this year or next, they're going to be announcing another game, which is likely Carnival. That's probably where that's coming into. Although, this could be Carnival. And that's an interesting possibility, because we don't know where this is going to be set. And based on this, it looks like an old circus animatronic. So, is it possible that maybe this is circus? Maybe this is Carnival? That's perfectly possible. Because another thing that is interesting is like trying to figure out where exactly this fits, as far as like theming. Because based on what you see, like it's... And that's an interesting sound. Boxy Poe. Oh yeah. It is very similar to that, which is kind of funny. It could actually be. That is true. Whenever you think about it, so like, we have Fredbear's Family Diner, right? And the thing is, this is really interesting. The date 1979 is a really interesting date because that would be during the Fredbear's Diner era. Like, we know that there was a Freddy's location, or like a Fredbear's location during the 70s, because you have in Ruin, you have the Freddy's 70s cutout where you go and you get the Brazil ending. And so, like, it's going to be released in 2025. Yeah, it's going to be... So it's going to be next year. Which, funny enough, is kind of interesting, too, because it kind of goes along with what I thought. There was, like, an investment report that they had from the distributor of Five Nights at Freddy's. And they put out, like, this post about the state of the franchise. And they were talking about that there was, like, good things to look forward to towards the end of 2025. And to me, that kind of signaled, okay, there's going to be some pretty big releases towards the end of that year. And that seems to be kind of lining up, because we've got 5 Laps at Freddy's, Dead by Daylight, we got this game, and likely maybe another one, or unless that's being pushed to, like, 2026. So good things to look forward to. The Crew Steel. I don't know. With Crew Steel, I don't think so. I want to say no, but I'm not familiar with that, what exactly that is. But maybe. Who knows what Scott's worked on. But this is crazy. So, also, kind of going through this frame by frame. Make sure this isn't gonna mess. Okay, wait a second. Let me see if I can. Just trying to figure out how to go frame by frame with this. you also have like old film. That's really interesting. So you have that effect. Interesting. So they're going for a very specific aesthetic with this, right? Like they're going for a very old, like vintage feel. Yeah, yeah. There's some good stuff coming out. I'm so excited. This is so insane. I love this, and the design of this looks creepy. Like it looks. But I think let's talk about the puppet in the room. All right. Why are they using the puppet's theme? Why does this look like the puppet? And because this is before, this is absolutely because Charlie is somewhat confirmed as anything in this franchise is to have died in 1983. Yeah, that is true, and that is true. It is a puppet, but it also looks like a clown. So it definitely does kind of match a sort of circus feel, which is why I'm starting to lean towards this maybe being a part of Carnival. Like maybe the secret of the mimic is also the Carnival game that's been being teased out. Um, but it's also interesting, right? This box, the baby bads, or what I don't even know what they're called. Um, from Sister Location. Maybe. But this is interesting. So we have a very like Victorian style here. So what is it? What is this? Okay. Entered the clown is yeah is entered from Sister Location, which maybe I mean this is possibly the mask or something. Let me see something actually real quick. Like it very much looks like that style at the very least. Like if you look at this, it's not exact, obviously, but it's more about the aesthetic and the design of it, right? But you also have another interesting thing about this too, right? The jester costume, yes, that is true. The thing though that is interesting about that is this isn't like you might be right. It could be. But I'm we don't see enough to be able to fully confirm that. But that is a really interesting idea that this is the jester costume from the epilogues. That's also in the mimic. Like right? Because those are costumes that Edwin was working on in the epilogues for Fazbear Entertainment that we know they got because they're in the epilogues. Um so really interesting possibility, but another interesting thing, and I've seen this being pointed out on Twitter, is that this looks a lot like the security puppet, who also has these kind of yellowish, orangish eyes. Like let me show you that. Because that's an interesting one that we don't really get to. Yeah, like look at this, right? I think this might be. That's not exact. Not sure. Not sure if I could find the exact model. Because that kind of looks off. the idea of this being security puppet, that's really interesting. Okay, here it is. Oh, that's not a good picture of it. I'm not sure why I can't find this. Okay, here we go. There it is. All right. Okay. So this is the security puppet. And looking at this, right? I don't know if there's a way I can actually... Here. I was trying to figure out if I could actually, like, make it a little bit clearer as to what it is. Was the puppet or something? That could be. That could be. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's wild. That's wild right there. Because that goes... This is, like, almost recontextualizing stuff that's, like... and this is something I kind of find very interesting. Is the idea that they're taking, like, non-canon stuff from, like, FNAF 4... and then actually adding a bit of canonicity and purpose to why they are. Taking Scott's rejects and actually giving them a little bit of purpose. Like, Nightmare On has been, like, a really big, like, what are you and why are you here? That keeps kind of reappearing. Like, it reappeared in Ultimate Custom Night, even though, like, is the face of Ultimate Custom Night. And then you start seeing it through the new Steelwool games, and it's like, why are you here? What's your purpose? Now we know. Nightmare, or Nightmare On, as it's been teased out, is likely a reference to this. A reference to this guy. The entire time, they've just been, like, bombarding us with Puppet, and then being like, hey, this actually has a purpose. This actually has a plan. And here it is. And I am really excited. Like, I am so excited for this. Yeah, that's a big thing is like, it's just a costume for the Mimic. The Mimic is designed to fit in any costume. So but here's the thing, right? I did see that. The thought that could be the like, maybe the cap. Or that could just be a part of it. Well, it is kind of interacting, so there could be something there. I'm not sure. That could be something. Huh. Because that's interesting. So, I was going to pull that up. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Yo, wait a second. Yeah, I'm starting to think that too. And the idea... Okay, so... This is cool. I really like this. They're continuing the idea of the duality of things, right? So there's been a really big theme about duality in FNAF recently. So you have, like, Vanny, Vanessa, you have Sun, Moon... you have Greg and Gregory. Like, you have this idea of the duality of people, about the AI of the mind, and then you have the other second part of the mind that's more like, you know, you have the intelligent and emotional sides of the human brain that's kind of talked about in, like, Monty Within. And this is kind of continuing that. So you have the puppet, and then you have Nightmare, or Nightmare On, or the Mimic. And here's the interesting thing about this, right? So John FNAF is a big theorist in the community, and something that he's been on a lot is about Baby and about the fourth closet, right? The thing about Baby, the thing about the fourth closet, is that Baby is in the novels, in the novel trilogy, is a duality of Charlie. And so the idea that they have been hinting out this storyline these ideas, referencing back to the novels, could be because the mimic is a duality of the puppet. And that's really interesting. Because you see Charlie, you see her as like the healer. She's kind of similar to Cassie in a way. And then you have Mimic, who's very similar to Gregory. It uses his voice, who's very destructive, who's very impulsive, making all of these decisions and doing it in very violent ways that causes all of this destruction and mayhem, right? So you have a duality. You have Cassie, the puppet. You have Gregory, the mimic. That's cool. That's really cool. I love that. That is so cool. Like, if that ends up being true, and we have a situation here, right, where these stories are overlapping, like even the non-canon ones that are more like parallels to the current story that we have, that's really, really cool. And you could say, like, you could kind of grovel against that and say, like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't mean that it's like a stand-in. These things both can exist, right? A parallel does not mean that those characters don't exist, but it just means the stories are similar, and possibly intentionally so. So the security puppet thing was in 1979? Yeah, so it seems like Help wanted to kind of cements that Charlie died in 1980. I don't know why I keep saying 1983. No, you're good. Because I'm going through the same thing right now. Like, we're dealing with a lot of stuff here. The last, like, few days have really, like, thrown a lot of lore. Like, Scott's interview, I cannot stop thinking about that, about things he said about Security Breach and about how this story wasn't portrayed the way he wanted it to be. And I'm just being like, what do you mean? Burn Trap wasn't supposed to move? He was supposed to follow you around? Like, we've been getting so many, like, with V.I.P. And that's another thing interesting, too. We did a live reading of V.I.P. And with V.I.P., another entity, you have a duality. You had the very informative pig and virtual informative pig. Two different sides, a duality. That is, like, I love things like that have, like, thematical theming. And it's really, really interesting, especially since in the Ultimate Custom Night voice lines, right, with Nightmare on, you have a very interesting kind of duality with Charlie, and it's very different from how Charlie acts. Like with the puppets lines, you know, it's very different from, I think, what you would think of. Because in those lines, Charlie says a bunch of things, like, and you can tell that it's meant to be Charlie. Like, this is meant to signify Charlie the spirit speaking through the puppet with those lines. Yeah, that is an interesting thing too, because Helpy also has a duality with the different eye colors, signifying kind of an overtaking of the program. Like, almost as if there's, like, two different sides of him that are fighting for control, or, like, saying specific things. Like, one with, like, more orange eyes, which goes back to the mimic, and one with blue eyes. You also saw the two different dualities with Tiger Rock, with the, like, you have different colored eyes. So you have a lot of things at play that kind of speak to that kind of duality. And you even have that with, like, there's a lot of interesting symbolism in, like, Princess Quest with that too. With, like, the shadows. The shadows have always been speaking of, like, the duality. So that's cool. I love talking about this. I love that it gives me an excuse to talk about stuff like this, because I just find this endlessly fascinating. But it's also interesting too, right? There's been a story in Tales that has bothered me. Crew, elephant in games as well, but less withered. That would be really cool. That would probably 100%. And the thing is, according to the epilogues, there's like 18 suits. Like, there's 18 different animatronics that Edwin created for Fazbear Entertainment during the months leading up to the Mimic. That would be, including and some of those suits include original versions of the Freddy's game, like Chica, Bonnie, Foxy. I'm not sure if everyone's mentioned in there, but you have like original suits of those. It would be so cool. It would be so cool to be able to see all of those. Oh yeah, sister location. That could be. That could be. I would love to see Fredbear and Spring Bonnie in this game. I think it would work so well. Um there's so many possibilities with them going back. This almost could be a Fredbear's origin game. It could be Carnival. Who knows? It could be all of them just smooshed together. All about the mimic. Glitch Trap could appear out of for some reason. Like we could just have like the ultimate showdown with just like everybody's origins. That would be amazing. Although I don't think we'll get all of those things, but there's so many possibilities with this being earlier in the timeline. And also knowing that it goes back all the way to 1970 is crazy. Like, we have the Fall Fest poster from 1970. That is crazy. That is crazy that it goes that far. Like, we have so much to explore that we just don't have. Yes, that would be really cool. That actually, I've been so scatterbrained throughout this whole stream, and I apologize because I feel like I've started like so many thoughts and just haven't finished them. I'm too excited, guys. But something that I love about oh yeah. So in the books, what I was gonna say, you were talking about Sun and Moon. In the books, it talks about potentially Sun and Moon being an old theater animatronic, and possibly from like earlier in the franchise. And I think that's an interesting idea that Sun and Moon were once maybe performing theater animatronics potentially at a carnival. And that they had like this kind of like theater act, and it would be really really cool to see that. Oh yeah, so many things. So many things. Also, guys, we have something interesting that has never gotten brought up back, and that's the I think Funko did these. They have like Funko Pop circus animatronics. Let me actually see if I can pull these up. These are things that just have not come up again, except apparently they show up in the new coloring book, the glow in the dark one. But the circus animatronic, FNAF circus. Let's see. With these, yes, okay. With these are wild. Okay, so these are made. These aren't Funko. These are no. Funko Pop action figures. Okay. So this is Circus Bonnie. Yeah. At least give us something for why these exist. Okay, right? Because this is crazy. So you have these designs, and the thing is, right? Some of these are very similar to some of the animatronics that are described in the epilogues. With the kind of like general aesthetic of these being circus animatronics with like various different what you call it, like different like custom, designs with these. I don't know how to describe it, but these are interesting, right? And these have never been brought up again. You have one for Freddy. So the question is, right? Yeah, very cartoony. So the question is, right? Are we gonna see these guys? I'm not gonna lie, this one looks like straight up a reference to Chuck E. Cheese. Like, I feel like there's a character that looks very, very similar to this design. But that is really interesting, right? I don't know. I don't know what to think about these. I don't know if they have any more information. But these have always been just kind of out there, and just kind of there. So maybe we'll be getting an explanation with this potentially being set maybe in a carnival, maybe at Fredbear's. We don't really have a clear setting. Maybe it's in a house. You have this nice carpet. I heard someone say on Twitter that looked very Shining. I kind of agree. Oh yeah, it'd be cool if we got plushies of all of the characters. Hopefully that it will appear in here. Who knows what crazy things are going to be in this game? We just don't know. And the thing that's really cool, right? Like, we have no expectation for how big this game's going to be. And the thing is, like, with Security Breach, they had only between, like, 8 and 12 people working on that game whenever it first came out. And they were able to make that within, like, it took a while. It took a couple of years to make. They now have, like, according to them in their last interview, they have over 90 employees. Guys, they have over 90 employees. They made Help Wanted 2 in a couple of months. Like, they made it within, like, 6 to 8 months. Because they have so many people now because of just the amount of success that they've had as a company. So we have no way of knowing, and that's exciting. Like, they have so much manpower now. Like, they have so much power behind them with just the amount of talent and creative talent that they've kind of like have hired on. We have no ability to know what they're actually capable of, except for the fact that this looks absolutely incredible and looks probably better than I've honestly seen any of their trailers look. Like, this looks tight. Like, looking at this. I'm so excited. This looks great. That would be insane. That would be crazy. I honestly think if Afton... Here's the thing, right? We have never seen a full model, character model of Afton or Henry. I'm just saying, Steel Wool. I'm just saying, right? It would be a perfect opportunity. I think you're absolutely right. If Afton and Henry are in this game, that would be amazing. Especially since, right, this is Fazbear Entertainment in their earliest form, right? And so at this point in the timeline, like, Afton and Henry are very involved in the franchise, at least as far as we're aware. Unless there's just, like, some lore drop that gets just bombarded on us that Fazbear Entertainment actually wasn't started by, Afton and Henry, and they actually came in the company later. Who knows? We don't know. That's crazy. But I will say, so the fact that they're playing the My Grandfather's Clock theme, right? I don't know if any of you guys have actually looked up the lyrics for that. It's a very sad song, but it's also a very meaningful song within its relation to FNAF. Because the idea of My Grandfather's... It's a song about grief. It's a song about a grandson grieving over the loss of his grandfather. So it's a very deep song. It also has some weird lyrics that sound a lot like the story of FNAF 4. That has some interesting relations to that. I don't know if any of you guys have ever looked up the lyrics, but I would definitely advise it. There are some very interesting potential relations between that song and FNAF 4. Specifically about it. Where do you hear that song in FNAF? So it is actually the Puppets theme. So this theme that's playing right now, the music box version. Hold on. This right here. that is a musical music box rendition of a very very popular song. Actually, I believe it was made famous. Well, it was famous back when it released, but it was pretty became more famous by the fact that Johnny Cash, I think, did a cover of the song. Yeah, yeah. So if it wasn't obvious before that this is the puppet, or at least a pre Charlie possession puppet, um, which is interesting too because that means the puppet character has been around for a while. So its inclusion in ooh, interesting. So okay. Does that mean that there's a possibility that Charlie possessed the mimic? I'm not saying that's true, but that would be kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about. I don't know about that. I'm just throwing things against the wall, guys. We're just talking about FNAF here. Um. Yeah. No way. Yeah. No. No. I know. I know. I'm just. Here's an interesting thing though, right? It's just a suit, so it's possible that the mimic has used the suit. It also doesn't mean it's the same one as Charlie's that Charlie possessed. And very clearly, there's a difference between the security puppet, except for one thing. The security puppet is how you get the minigame for Charlie's death. That the alleyway minigame in FNAF 6. You get that by testing the security puppet. So that is interesting. There is definitely a relation, even though it may not be direct. There is still a relation between Charlie and the mimic. And I think it has to do, of course, with the duality I was talking about earlier. I think that's probably the best relation that it can have. I guess a big question that we have is, do we think that this is gonna actually maybe name drop Edwin? That's an interesting idea. I honestly I don't know. I'm mixed on that. I'm mixed on that. I think that there's something that's really cool about free roam, but I definitely think that I wonder. I don't know if there's a way to do the sit and survive concept with and still make it seem like a big game. Or yeah, no. I definitely think there could be elements of it though. Like kind of similar to what Security Breach kind of tried to do. Um I think that would be interesting. But I don't know. I think that's an interesting thought definitely. The idea of that potentially being sit and survive or at least having elements. Of course it's always been um ingrained within FNAF. It is FNAF. That is what FNAF's gameplay has always been about. Besides, like, you have Sister Location and, um, FNAF 6 did a good mix of that. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. We don't know anything right now. We have no information. But so the idea of the puppets minigame, the security puppets minigame, is to I believe it's to find the oh, hold on one second. I'm trying to remember exactly what the conditions are. I think it's you have to like look at all the children, or like you have to find a specific one with the green tag on it. But I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go back and look at it. But it is a secret, I think. I think you can play test it. Yes. So you have to find the one with the green tag, and then you get the secret minigame. Um yes. Yeah. That is Charlie. It's always bothered me that Charlie was locked out. Like I know that it's always been kind of accepted and sort of like I guess, assumed that the bullies were the ones who locked her out because it was like you were shut out on that day, and there was no one there to save you. But it's always bothered me why she was out there, because like there's no indication of there actually being anyone who locked her out. Like there's just children outside and they're just there. But you also, I think that they're in the main mini game. You do have them laughing at her, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of off topic, sort of, with this. We're just kind of throwing things out there. We're just kind of very, very excited. Oh, I'm really scatterbrained. Gosh, I'm everywhere. I wanted to see. So there was a comment made about the game that everyone was posting about. See if I can find it. I just saw a Twitter post by Ride Toast that cracked me up. That is exactly. I'll have to show this. This is from Ride Toast. This right here. This is amazing. That's fantastic. That is exactly how we are right now. That is so true right now. I will say somebody did point out something that was pretty crazy. That's great. Wanted to see if I don't know. I'll have to find it later. But there was apparently a post made by one of the developers that kind of was teasing something out, but I didn't quite see where it was. But onwards we go into the rabbit hole that is this discussion. This is wild, guys. That's all I can really say. This is wild. Like, I never thought in a million years. I know everyone was like, oh, this is going to be Carnival. This is going to be Help Wanted DLC. I never in a million years thought this was going to be a like completely new game, all about the Mimic. That is crazy. I am so unbelievably excited. Unbelievably excited. And also that sound. I'm pretty sure that's the same sound the Mimic makes. Or maybe that's a new sound. I don't know. It's interesting though. Maybe that is very interesting. I wanted to look at the logo because this is FNAF and we analyze everything. I love the fact that it's orange. That's cool. Kind of color association. So the Mimic's color, as far as like color theory, color correlation, is kind of orange in a way. That's interesting. Like his eyes. Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking, is like it's very much emphasizing that secret of the Mimic. What is the Mimic's secret? What is the Mimic's secret? That is interesting. Secret of the Mimic. Interesting that it's kind of like has that digital kind of effect on it. Look at the puppet's eyes now. It is very similar. Actually, I never... Oh, gosh, I keep not wanting to put that over there. Let me see if I can pull up. In the trailer, I mean... Oh, okay. No, you're good. Yeah. Interesting, too. That's interesting. They're very yeah, I was gonna say that. Do they actually match the Mimic's eyes? Hold on. Is there one of them looking directly at us? Here we go. Huh. Trying to look and see if there's like a good picture of it. I can't find one where it like actually like shows his eyes. Like the only one that I can really find would be like this one. But his eyes are kind of I can't. I don't know how to like clearly show this. But there's the mimic. His eyes feel a lot like they look a lot fuller. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same. I mean, it's definitely the mimic. Very bright. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is like they're very bright. Which is not what this is giving me off. Like this is very like pointed and it almost looks very like I don't know. Could be aging. Or could be different eyes. And here's another thing to think about too. In the epilogues, the mimic actually has a different head. In the epilogues, it describes the mimic as being looking like it's burnt, except for the head. So it's possible that the head actually was replaced. Oh, yeah? That would be quite funny if they were purple and green. That would be very, very funny. Although, actually, I am curious about something. No. I was thinking of something kind of funny, but it's... No. I checked. It's not. Oh, man. But, no, this is... I don't... You know what's funny, too? V.I.P. makes that comment so much funnier. Because that's the third time we've had a randomly, like, pig show up, right? So we had, like... We have this weird correlation between the eyes of Tiger Rock and Pig Patch, and then Pig Patch appears in Help Wanted 2, and then V.I.P. is a pig. I don't know what they're cooking, but it's funny. I love it. I think, honestly, Steelwool was more aware of the community than we think, and they just put that in there because they thought it would be funny. Like, they said in the Steelwool interview with John FNAF that they specifically put things in there, sometimes as theory bait. I feel like Pig Patch being in the game was theory bait 100%. Because the idea, it's so funny. The fact that the community's like, they have similar eyes. And then Steelwool's like, let's put them in there. Just because. We know how much a troll FNAF can be. But man, this is so crazy. Like, the design just looks so cool. Something earlier I was going to mention. Alright. One Tales story that really bothers me is Drowning. Right? In the story Drowning, and I don't know if anyone here has read that story, but basically it's a story about a girl named Kara who basically goes to this like resort attraction within the Pizzaplex that's a VR experience. And she goes there with her friends, and she goes to this one, attraction within the resort that's a water park. And there's a bunch of things that happen, but basically there is a girl floating in the water. And throughout the story, this girl is like terrorizing this Kara, and she's implied to be a spirit. Like, she is a vengeful spirit within this virtual reality experience. Underneath the eyes. Are the makeup. Underneath the eyes. I'm not sure what that, I feel like this is something we should brighten up. Anyone want to get Photoshop out? Anyone want to do a good old MatPat game theory? Get our magnifying tools, clean up everything. See the 2 streaks blue. Okay, I did notice that. And I wasn't gonna mention it because I wasn't quite sure what it was. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's an absolute headache to get it out, and I don't feel like doing that right now. Yeah. They're not in the same place. And it doesn't make sense for the puppet to have tears at this point but not to say it didn't. It definitely could have had tears. But the tears seem to be because of the possession of Charlie. But that is an interesting idea. I don't know. Again, this is one of those things where we have very limited views of the model, so we can't quite see everything. But that's very interesting. It could be 100%. And maybe, who knows? Maybe it's the whole like possession with the tears could have meaning that may extend to the mimic. Who knows? There could be that could be a part of the duality. It's cool because it's not gonna be really nice to get more information about the mimic, specifically about what happened after the Tales of the Pizzaplex, kind of the mimic story, because there's a lot of time. There's like 40-year gap between there and whenever we get to the mimic, which, by the way, the 1979 date, and I know we've talked about this earlier, that does line up with what Edwin describes in the mimic as being the kind of like timeline of events, right? Because within that, he's like 24 at the time of the mimic, and it's like, at that point, he says and mentions that he started his company earlier, like 5 years earlier, in the like early 70s. So if we like work some timeline magic, that kind of does actually line up with sort of like late 70s. Like, giant clown girl, don't say that. Do not say that. You're not allowed to say that. We all know what that's a reference to. Giant clown girl. We are not this is the mimic. This is not Eleanor. Let's not have that. No. Although that would be hilarious if this just like turned out. If the Eleanor animatronic actually was in this game, that would be crazy. I don't even know what to think about that. Oh, man. Balloon display. Oh, yeah. Saying hello. Oh, yeah. Hello. Oh, yeah. We gotta have a Balloon Boy reference. You know what's funny too? Because we know that Scott said that whenever FNAF 4 released, he had the whole like Halloween expansion, and he said that Nightmare Balloon Boy was canon because he fit within that timeline. So Balloon Boy was there, and we know if the carousel is meant to be a throwback to Fall Fest, which goes back to like 1970, Balloon Boy could be a part of the carnival. I think that fits. So we could see Balloon Boy. Could be. I think, and I'm sorry if that happens. We all know what happened. We all know why things are the way they are. Oh, man. That is funny. Oh, I keep getting off track. Gosh. That is true. That is true. And here's the funny thing about that, right? According to the sister location gas leak teaser that Scott put up prior to the release, whenever you had all of the like actual leaks that happened, and Scott put that out, he was like, "It's canceled due to leaks." In that teaser, it talks about. It implies almost as if this is happening before the establishment of Fazbear Entertainment. And how it does that is it talks about the owner of Circus Baby's Pizza World having, a financial investor who refused to comment, who is a local entrepreneur. Now, who would you describe, aside from Afton, as being a local business entrepreneur who might have the means to be able to finance Circus Baby's Pizza World? Well, I would say most likely Henry. So it almost implies the leaked canceled teaser almost implies that Henry and William may have started partnering whenever they created Circus Baby's Pizza World, which is kind of crazy to think about. That isn't confirmed. That is just a theory of mine that has very little evidence aside from that like one little teaser thing. So I don't know. I don't know. But so we really don't know the timeline of that. So who's to say? Who's to say? Um I keep getting off track, and I keep realizing it. I do. I was talking about drowning, and there was a reason I'm mentioning that in relation to this. There's a part in that story in Drowning where Kara, the main character, goes into within the virtual reality experience. She goes into like an old house, right? And one of the parts in there is she comes across a music box with a carousel. And with a carousel horse that's playing music. And that has always bothered me because I've always thought about it, and I've been like, what is that? What are these things? Because there's like a very specific sequence of things that are described that are giving us information about who this spirit, if it is a spirit that exists within this virtual reality experience, and like, who is this? And there's like a very specific sequence that happens when she goes into this house that gives us clues. Like, we know that her parents died some tragic way. And within that, there's like a picture of a family, and their like faces are like scratched out. And we know that the spirit is lonely. And it ends up at the end. It's a really good story, because like I would definitely advise, if you guys are into the books or whatever, go reread that or read it, because it's a great, it's in the funny enough, it's in the Nexi book, so it is with the Mimic story and with the other one, which is Nexi. So it's like Nexi, Drowning, and the Mimic. Two of those are about the Mimic. Nexi and obviously the Mimic are all about the Mimic. So the question is that third story somehow related to the Mimic if we're carrying over the themes? And it's interesting that it's related to a spirit that we don't really have any idea of who she is, besides maybe Cassidy, but that's a big that's a moment where I step away and be like, hey, don't hurt me. But because see, the only spirit we've seen with that has black hair and in the fourth closet, that's the only thing we really know about her. She has black hair, but it's one of those things where you can't really base a theory on like one little tiny little thing. You can, but you get what I'm saying. All right. I at this point, guys, I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. My brain is thinking at like a million thoughts a second. I don't even know where to go with this. If they can time travel? That is okay. That is an idea, right? That is an idea that I've had from like the very start. I've had this for so long, guys. The thought that maybe the mask could be at play here. That would be so cool. We've had so many reveals with like the Vanny mask being revealed to be the thing all along. But this would be really cool if this entire game was contained within the mask and it's like showing Cassie the past of the Mimic. That would be really interesting. Kind of similar to like Into the Pit. Or like something similar to that. Because the tagline for this is really interesting. So it talks about, to see the future, sometimes you need to understand the past. So that's interesting. To see the future, sometimes you need to understand the past. A brand new original Nightmare in Five Nights at Freddy's universe. That's interesting. That's a really, really interesting way to put it. Is that this is, to see the future, sometimes you need to understand the past. Also, that's a very Mystic Hippo thing to say. Like, I know it's the whole idea of her being like a clairvoyant. But that's interesting too. Could be a little hint to that. Maybe we'll see Mystic Hippo. Because it's the whole idea of like being able to try to see the future. You have to understand the past. And also it's a general saying, you know. Your ability to be able to see what's coming. Yeah, that would be fun. I think it would be really cool if we saw some Fall Fest stuff. Like Sun and Moon, or you know what they were equivalents to. There's so many fun things that they could do. That's the thing that's so cool, is they've introduced and they've set up so many things within the books, within Help Wanted 2, within Ruin. So many fun concepts to play with, and it's like there's this point where the franchise and the fans are just like, where are you gonna go? And I'm just so here about it, because it's like, there's so many fun places, there's so many fun things to do. There's so many fun things to do. So many, I'm so excited. But I love the design of this music box too. With the design. To also, okay, here, somebody pointed this out to me. Not to me personally, but somebody pointed this out to me. I hope so much so that MatPat reacts to this, because I am so interested to see his thoughts and his theories always. I'm a big MatPat enjoyer, so I'm always excited. But here's something that's interesting. Okay, I want to do something real quick. Let's go into Help 1 and 2. If I can pull this up. Okay. I might pull up, I want to pull this up and I want to show you guys something. This was pointed out on Twitter. This was not my idea, although I don't know. I'd have to find it again to see who to credit for this. But I saw it in passing, and it's really interesting. All right. This is why I love the fact that Help Wanted 2 came out with a whole like flat screen, flat mode. Great. Show this. This is continue. I think I've gotten them, so I should be, hopefully. If I haven't. Okay, remove mask. Alright, guys. Wait a second. Alright. Somebody was pointing out... Oh, maybe not. Oh. Well. Perhaps they made it up. I don't know. Maybe it was in reference to... Hold on. I thought it was here. Sorry, guys. Now I'm unbelievably confused. Maybe this person made it up. That'd be unfortunate. Oh, here it is. I think this is from FNAF 6, actually. People are pointing this out. That this looked a lot like the... And this is Julian Dean. Or... Yeah. But they pointed out that this right here looks a lot like... And it would honestly make sense if this was the puppet. Right? So you have Fred, you have Fredbear, or Freddy, Bonnie, and then the puppet. That's really interesting. That's very, very interesting. Because that would almost imply, right? That would almost imply that potentially those three characters were paired together. And that's really interesting. That would almost support the idea of Charlie dying at Fredbear's. Which I definitely believe. I definitely am a believer that the Silver Eyes is at least accurate for certain things whenever it comes to information. Things like dates have always been accurate, characters, names, and somewhat personalities. But one of the things that I think has carried over too is the way that where Charlie died and when Charlie died. Really important information of when Charlie died. If you account the retcon for whenever Charlie died in the novels. She died on Halloween, October 31st of 1983, which, wouldn't you know, would have been around Fall Fest. And in the novels, her parents are hosting a Halloween party, a dress-up party. And funny, this is unrelated to, I don't think this is related to Princess Quest, but it is worth noting that her mother was dressing up as a princess. I just find that really interesting. I don't think it's related necessarily to Princess Quest, obviously, because I don't really see any like specific like ways that could relate. But it's an interesting detail. So I think definitely Charlie has some interesting relations to the story, at least currently. My opinions right now of what this story is trying to do, of where we're going with this, right? We have gone through the ideas of the spirits of the 5 kids, and, you know, that was finished. FNAF 6. I think what we're dealing right now is with the remnants. As Baby would put it, what was bad that was left behind, right? We're dealing with all of the things that came after that, you know, kept on going despite a soul, despite a spirit being bounded to it. So a lot of like the concept of like remnant and agony are definitely very, very relevant right now. At Freddy and Friends on tour. Does the puppet appear there? Hold on. We might come back to this. But I'm gonna X out it there for now. Hold on. Let me pull this back. I prematurely closed everything. Hold on. So that's that. Does the puppet appear in Freddy and Friends? Wait a second. No, just look at the animation style. If you look at the FNAF prize thingy and Help Wanted 2, the style, prize corner. Oh. I prematurely closed it. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me see something. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Oh, I absolutely know what you're talking about. Yeah. You're talking about how it matches the animation style, the puppets, or like the paper pals on the wall. That's definitely interesting. I definitely can see that with like, especially with like the rabbit ears and stuff. It definitely has that kind of like cartoony look. Also, an interesting thing that was presented in VIP is apparently that Fazbear Entertainment made old, like, retro animations of the glam rocks. It's 80s, yeah, 70s, 80s styled. That is true. That is 100% true. It's always interesting to me that we also have, like, the weirdly, like, I know Matt Pat's pointed this out. With like one of them, we have like the 30s and 40s style animations. And I don't know if that's just like a throwback or if it's honestly implying that Freddy as a character has gone all the way back to animation, which would be interesting. Kind of a very like sort of like Indigo Park kind of take, or Disney. Disney would be a better example. Kind of Disney take with it. Prize Machine and Help Wanted 2. Oh yeah, I know that that also appears in VIP, which is cool. With the Chica's Candy Crane. That was kind of fun. Interesting. I was looking at achievements. Behind the cupcake? Oh, with the I know what you're talking about. Oh, you're right. I was wondering where the style of that came into play with the puppet. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know why I can't find it there. Price sheet images. I don't know why images aren't just easy to find. They just, you gotta scroll forever to actually get to see something. It's like, come on. Let me see, prize machine. Let me see. I don't know why I can't find this. I love this community so much, man. It's crazy. I love the fact that we're just like searching every possible picture of the puppet to see if we can find anything that matches. It's so great. It's great. I honestly love the fact that we are this dedicated. I will say, okay, I'm gonna show you guys something that is absolutely insane. All right, it's a book related thing, and it is not from Tales of the Pizzaplex. It is from Fazbear Frights. Same. I love losing sleep. It's absolutely okay. So, did you know that the costumes we see in Ruin may not be new? These things may be from a Fazbear Frights story. In fact, the mimic may have come up in a Fazbear Frights story. Yep, I know, it's kind of crazy. But just wait a second, guys. The costumes are said to come from potentially a carnival or circus. This is really cool, guys. All right, let me see if I can find this. If Kindle. So the story is, it's one of the stories you would not expect to actually have anything like lore relevant. But the story is Together Forever. So it's the story with the pig. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make it up. It's with the animatronic pig. Crap. There you go. It is Together Forever, and it is about two bully girls who basically try to program an animatronic to basically like do a bunch of like really mean things to these girls, other girls, and they're like just a bunch of really mean bullies. But they want to reprogram this pig, animatronic pig, except for one thing. The pig is a spring lock suit, right? Yes, but here's the thing. The pig forcefully stuffs them into its chest cavity and then activates the spring locks. And it actively misconstrues and misunderstands the programs they put into it. Because the idea is that it can't tell the difference between an adult and a child. And, yeah, there is also a thing where it has the ability to mimic their voices. And it actively uses things they said and reuses it later on in the story. It is one of the stories that whenever I heard about the mimic, I was immediately like reading the story and I was like, wait a second, does this actually have relevance? Possibly. And my Kindle, for some reason, at this very moment, is deciding not to work, and I hate this so much. Why are you doing this? And here's the thing, right? Okay, whenever you saw the suits in Ruin, what did you immediately think about? What do they remind you of? The way they look. I think whenever most of us saw it, there was like a certain description. Besides a circus, like old times, yes. But like their uniforms. What do they, like here, I'll pull up a picture to show you guys. As reference. Let's see, Ruin, FNAF Ruin, old costumes. Okay, here they are. Okay, so here's the costumes, right? What do they kind of remind you of? Yes. One of the things that I saw that people kind of were comparing them to were they look like old sports mascots. Like you have Carnival ones, but like specifically this one right here and like this one. You have like, they have almost what you could describe as jerseys. With a letter, interestingly enough, it looks almost like an L, but almost like a T. Yeah, so they look like, the impression that I got from them, right, is they almost look like clown or carnival or sports mascots. The suits in Together Forever are described as looking like sport mascots. And there's a variety of them, and they have on different attire. Like, they have things on them, and like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like, accessories. They have like different accessories on them that are not like exact. They are not exact. That is something that is very important to emphasize. It is not exact. However, it has a very similar aesthetic to it. And yeah, for some reason, my Kindle is not working. Come on. There was a bunch of them. And it's not the first time we've seen like Carnival themed, obviously like animatronics, but also like just random mascots. Like we saw some randomly in the Twisted One novels. Like there was like a monkey and like a dog. There was a couple. There was a couple different ones that were like, kind of like looked like circus animatronic circus costumes that were in like the Twisted Ones, which is interesting because that also has some like relations to Ruin with the like glowing fungus and it being in an underground pizzeria for some reason, in like a cave. There's a lot of weird things in that book that are very relevant, I think. I'll have to pull this up on my phone because my computer is not pulling up Kindle. The thing about the Kindle app, using it on your laptop, is it sometimes just decides it doesn't want to work, especially when you want it to. But here, if I could, let me see if I can pull this up, because I think this is really interesting. Okay. Here we go. But that's the thing. So with Together Forever, it's never made clear with the whole like it using the voice of the girls if this was possession or if this was actually something using their voice through listening to what they were saying. Because the thing is, right, there's certain things that it does that they never programmed it to do, but they did talk about. And it talks about, and here's another thing that's crazy, right? Okay, in Together Forever, the way they hook it up is through the back of its head. Or no, not through the back of its head. It's let me not missay something that might misrepresent or misconstrue it. Let me actually pull this up. Oh, let's see, sport mascot. It says that it got it. It's implied to have gotten it from Fazbear Entertainment because the pig is from Fazbear Entertainment. It's Springlock animatronic. It's not a animatronic that you would think of whenever you think of a Springlock. Like, it's not a fabric animatronic. It's, I think, more similar to like what you would consider like a sister location animatronic, where it's much more advanced. In fact, the reason that they actually seemingly banned it was because of a malfunction, like a computer malfunction, rather than it actually having a mechanical malfunction, I believe. But again, we can actually look at it ourselves. I'm pulling it up now so we can actually look at this, because there's a few parts of it that I think that are really interesting. And of course, all of this isn't like saying this is 100%. This is us theorizing, us coming up with, you know, our own thoughts, and we can decide what we believe to be true, because there's a lot of opinions, a lot of good theories out there, and I don't want to. We don't know anything right now. it's could be interesting idea. It could be an interesting thing where they could have had, honestly, the idea of them having like a comedy stand up together. I know they're different characters. I don't know how well that would interact, but to have them interact with each other, like you have like Mystic Hippo is like all wise and like seeing in the future and like is supposed to be of the mystic arts, and then you have Mr. Hippo who's like giving a long monologue about his day and how it went. I want to see that interaction. That would be hilarious. They were older models. The things about these were more advanced. These had, this is interesting too. According to Together Forever, this animatronic had voice commands. You know what else had voice commands? The Mimic. You know what else was programmed? The way that they program it too is very similar to the way that they program in the Mimic. That's the thing, is like, this is a very advanced animatronic. But it being a spring lock, that makes me think that it's probably was created during like somewhere between like maybe the sister location era or around that time that they were making more advanced models. But here, let me see. Okay, here it is. All right, let me read this to you guys. Well, actually, skip this. Okay. Let me read this. So this is from Together Forever. Okay. Let me find the part. And the way it describes the spring locks is very interesting because it's very different from what you would think. So this is a very advanced spring lock suit and with a lot of advanced features. And also, it makes a big deal about it being powered by hydraulics, which is also something the Mimic is. It's also, if you look at the back of it, you can see hydraulics on its back of the model. It also is powered through hydraulics. And I believe that also lines up with the way the Mimic was created, the way Edwin made it, is he actually made it using hydraulics. That's something interesting too. The books make a big difference between the way that the animatronics are designed. That'd be interesting. The Blob, Tangle, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't know. We definitely need an answers for what that is. Who knows? Who knows? That could be. I'm trying to find where it said mascot. No, that's the... Alright, here we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read this to you guys. So this is from Together Forever. And there's a reason I'm reading this, because this is really interesting. So Jessica opened her mouth to answer her friend, but before she could, a loud cluttering and thumping accompanied Mr. Thornton back into the room. The racket came from the wheel of a cart he was pushing in front of him. The cart was piled with things that looked like they should have been either in an old sci-fi movies, amusement parks, or circuses. Momentarily forgetting Mindy and Cindy, Jessica sat up straight and leaned forward to see what was on the cart. She spotted a couple of silver robot skeletons, vaguely man-shaped gray robots that looked like aliens, and several mechanical animals. Many were dogs and cat-shaped, and a few looked like miniature barn animals and exotic animals. She spotted a cow, a horse, an orangutan, a black panther, a flamingo, and a huge pink pig. The pig was the only life-size thing on the cart. The cow, horse, and panther were about the same size as the dogs and cats. All mechanical animatronics looked like they were designed to stand on the back 2 feet, right? and most wore some piece of clothing or accessory, reminding her more of a sports team mascots than real animals. Jessica saw a couple bow ties and vests, two feather boas, short pants with suspenders on the flamingo, a bowler hat, striped socks, and a pair of red gloves. But so that's interesting. Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Oh, nothing much. Chris, we're just basically just going through everything in our head. We're just spilling it all over the place because, oh my goodness, the new trailer for the Steel Wool game coming up is absolutely insane. So we're just going through all of this stuff. We're talking right now about the Fazbear Frights story Together Forever, which is a strange one, but the reason we're talking about it is because I have a theory that this is actually maybe the one of the first instances of the Mimic potentially being in a story. There is actually an interesting earlier story that actually has mimicking in it. Mimicking voices isn't anything new, obviously, but this is noteworthy because in the story, which one was it? It was, what was it? Out of stock. That's it. So, and out of stock, the Spring Trap plush that they have in that story has the ability to distract people through mimicking voices. And the thing is that this thing has hears conversations that like it shouldn't be able to hear. Like it can hear a conversation that the kid, I think his name was Pete, I want to say, was having with his mom, and he could hear what his mom was saying on the phone, and was able to mimic that. That to me is really interesting. The idea that we have things in Fazbear Frights already that can mimic. But the interesting thing about that too is that the only thing that was retrieved from that thing, whenever it was ran over by the train in that story, was a circuit board. And that was taken and retrieved from the Stitch Wraith in the Fazbear Fright series. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, there's a whole lot to it. It goes through, goodness, there's too much to go over with that. But it's a whole story. But overall, this is just really exciting. I want to thank you guys also for all of your support and all of you guys just like being here and just having discussions with me. Because it's awesome to be able to come here and to be able to just talk to you guys. Like, this is probably the best stream that I've had, honestly. Like, this week. Like, this is insane. Like, you guys, I'm looking at, like, how many people have showed up and just have stopped by. And it's really, really cool. It's cool to see that you guys are here. You know, obviously I don't stream every day. I don't, like, post content as much as I probably should. So, like, to see you guys here, it means a lot. I hope you guys know that I really appreciate you guys. And I really, really enjoy having you guys, like, interact here and to theorize. I'm going to go ahead and play this trailer again just because I want to. And I want to see it again. Thank you. Hold on. I did see that whenever it, going frame by frame for a second. Oh yeah, it definitely has something behind its head. And you could absolutely argue that that could be the hold on, let me pull this up real quick. The security puppet, it has this thing on its head right here, right? It has orangish yellow eyes. Tears for some reason. It's got a split down the middle. The head shape, right? The head shape. Oh, goodness. That is very similar. Like that is really similar. Like gosh, if you look at that, like obviously it's not the exact same design, but you could definitely argue that this is the true or redesigned or steel wool design of it, of the concept. Because this is obviously not wanting to represent a possessed animatronic. This is the mimic. Now the mimic does have some possession, sort of, and I think that's something that's worth mentioning. Is the idea that it does actually have agony infused into it. So this isn't just a normal animatronic. This is something that has emotion, the intention that Edwin put into it, which is violence and rage, which is why it kind of sees everything as a way of making things really messy and violent. In the epilogues, it mentions that the original Fazbear Entertainment team building animatronics wanted to use the mimic as a way to train new animatronics so that they could like streamline that process. And one thing that does actually talk about is the fact that it like misconstrued something like an instruction. So potentially we'll be seeing that, which is interesting. But also, okay, here's a interesting question for you guys. So the idea of this, right, is that we can see the future by looking at the past. So what do you guys think is that we're going to discover? What is the secret of the mimic? Is it that it's haunted? Is it that it's violent? Are we going to discover what it saw? What would it see in 1979 that would cause it to be able to now be trouble for everybody? Like, what is still trying to tell us? I think that's a really interesting question. Because there's some possibilities. Right? So we have 1979. There's no one that we know of that has died in that year or is killed by Afton. That we know of, right? Charlie, it isn't Charlie. But what if it is something else? What if it is another victim? We learned some interesting things about the mimic from the books. One of those things is that it remembers a game of hide and seek. And it's like whenever Tiger Rock is looking for Kai in that story, he's like, oh, are we playing hide and seek? I know how to play that game. I learned it a long time ago. It's also brought up again in the epilogues, which is worth noting because it isn't just in relation to the Mimic 1 program, but it's also in relation to the epilogue Mimic. Which is worth noting because it's not necessarily the same thing, even though they are running the same program. Because just because it's a version of Mimic 1 doesn't mean that it's seen or gone through the same thing. So that's kind of what we're learning with this, is like, this has a different history. Which is, I think, how you get Helpy and the Mimic kind of reacting to each other in different ways, is because they're kind of branches of the same program, but they're like not exactly the same. They've gone through different stuff. But what's interesting too, right, is what if there was an earlier victim? What if it's the girl from Drowning? What if the idea, and maybe it'll all go back to potentially what the crying child saw. Like, that seems a bit early, and I'm aware of that. I don't think it will, but maybe. Maybe it will relate to something regarding like Fredbear. But in the end, this is all just conjecture. It's nothing. There's no proof of any of that. But always fun to think about. Well, all right. So I think this has been a really successful stream. I have really enjoyed this. Tomorrow is the 7th, guys. We are getting the 5 laps at Freddy's demo tomorrow. I am so excited. So we'll be streaming again tomorrow, going and playing the demo, which hopefully there will be some really fun things to do then. And then on Thursday, we have 5 Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit coming out, and we will be streaming then as well. So be looking for that, guys. We will be back. I'm gonna be pumped. I'm gonna be excited, more than I am probably right now, because I cannot even like explain to you how excited I am and ready. So I'm going to go for now, but I want to thank you guys so much once again for joining me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time.